Alright, for this listicle, I'm going to run down the worst DC games of all time, or at least 15 of the worst, because there's a lot of terrible DC games out there. A lot of the good ones are just Batman, and everything else just kind of sucks. So let's start with the good ones, more like the one that usually has good stuff, but he does have bad stuff. Okay, we're talking about Batman, you get what I'm saying. This first one, Sunsoft developed a lot of Batman games. In fact, they did a lot of different versions of the first Batman film. This one was for the Turbo Graphics, and it is a maze game. You're Batman, you have all these gadgets, you run around the maze, defeating enemies. Once you do, you go to the next phase. And it just kind of defeats the purpose of Batman, making him into like a Pac-Man type of character. I don't think that really incorporates what people want to do in a Batman game. Next is Batman Returns, which is just... The problem that I have with this game is this first level, Batman is purple, the background is purple, you just can't really understand what is Batman, what is the background. Plus, it's just not fun, it's really hard to control. He has like a grappling swing that he can do like a Spider-Man type of whatever, and it's clunky. It feels like a Batman Knight clunking around the rooftops. You don't feel agile like he's supposed to. And again, the coloration is just horrendous. Next, we have an arcade game based off the first Batman movie with terrible, terrible sound effects, just straight up brought from the film, not re-recorded, just kind of like grainily added in effect. There are some shooting segments which are actually kind of cool, but I mean, you're just Batman blasting away at cars, so that's kind of hilarious. Otherwise, just a straight up beat 'em up. Batman has a cowl over his face and he looks really, really skinny while doing it. It's just kind of a weirdly animated game, and it's not like the worst, but it's not good either. Oh my god. Batman Forever might be the worst Batman film that I can really think of. I just watched it, and I thought with Jim Carrey... Okay, I'm not even getting into it, but it's bad. It's bad. This Super Nintendo game uses the Mortal Kombat digitized graphics approach, and Batman just has his fisticuffs up constantly, and these terrible, terrible, like, CG people coming out and you're fighting, and it's another game where it's really hard to control, and Batman is super, super clunky, and it just looks awful. Yeah, nothing's good about this game or the movie it's based on. Oh my god, Aquaman Battle for Atlantis. First of all, the story bits, comic book panels used for the in-game engine, so they look pretty bad. There's no voice acting. It's kind of a low tone in the music, so it's just the presentation's weird. This is the only game that I've ever had motion sickness with. I'm not like making some kind of joke here like, oh, it's so awful to swim around, it makes me sick, this game makes me sick. No, literally I had to stop playing it like very fast and kind of take myself further away while recording footage, because I legitimately got sick. As I'm editing right now this footage, I'm getting sick looking at it again. It is so awful to play. It just, having the world be tipsy-turvy, awful, awful presentation. The battles are kind of fighter-esque, and I don't mind that. And even for a GameCube game, I don't think that it looks terrible, but yeah, puke. Catwoman is probably actually the worst Batman movie, even though it's not Batman. I don't even really want to talk about this GameCube game of it. Terrible costume, as if it was created from Tetsuya Nomura, which is someone I like, but I have a lot of issues with as well, which I won't get into here. Just bad gameplay. I guess that's it. I don't really want to talk about Catwoman. It's awful. You should avoid it at all costs, anything related to it. You should probably just play this Game Boy Color game. It's another game that's not terrible, but it's not fun either. This first opening mission is like, it's kind of more of a stealth game, but you're not really stealthing around. You're just trying to find your way out of this museum as you're trying to take stuff, and it's kind of more of an action game, and at least it plays a little bit better, and she has the, you know, more iconic costume. But a good game, it is not as well. For the longest time, I didn't even know Swamp Thing was even a DC character, but it is! And this game for the NES is not good. You're fighting robots that are robot mice and flying knives that are coming out of nowhere and trash cans that are falling out of the sky. Is that what Swamp Thing is about? I have no idea. What is happening here? What is happening here? Also, it plays terribly because it has clunky motions and he moves like a tank and you can't really jump and avoid anything and you crouch and you can't really hit things on the ground, so you're constantly getting hit by shit, so it's not good. The Flash for the Sega Master System is basically a Sonic clone. You can do like a tailspin kind of thing, which is actually more like Tasmanian Devil, I suppose. And it does get that sense of speed that the Flash is known for. And it's another game that's not awful, but when you're just controlling him not running around, just like how I feel about Sonic, it's not a good platformer because of that speed is stopped. When it's not going fast, it's not good, and that's a lot of what I played from this game, so don't play it. Everyone loves Blizzard, but I don't really, because I don't have a PC and I don't play a lot of PC games. That is not to say I haven't played any Blizzard games, like Justice League's Task Force, which is one of the few console games that came out on the Super Nintendo that they developed. It is a fighting game with all the DC people, and it is really, really bad. Superman has probably the worst hair I've ever seen him in. I guess closest is the Nicolas Cage photos that are out there when he was going to play the Tim Burton Superman. That's the closest equivalent I can think of. But yeah, it's just another game where the fighting is just very, very basic. The combos are not really there. It's kind of clunky for every single character that I played. It's just not presented well either. It's just not a fun fighting game. The Injustice games are really good fighting games, but I mean, that's Mortal Kombat team and they make good fighting games. So don't play this game. Another Justice League game that is not that good is Justice League Injustice for All for the Game Boy Advance. A cool concept where you take two people into the battle and you can switch them on the fly. That's cool. What's not cool is the graphics are just one of the few iterations of GBA graphics that are just really, really bad. They decided to like blow up these pixels to make them look more, not realistic, but more modern than they should be. It should have just been more of a throwback, colorful pixel art aesthetic, and it's not. But when you punch things, the camera, like, it's like a thunderstorm and an earthquake is happening at the same time. I don't understand why it's just so nauseating to play. Why are all these DC games so nauseating to play? And now we enter the Superman ring of things. This first one from Kemco is actually really adorable. I mean, look at the Statue of Liberty telling you what to do as Clark Kent and Superman. It is adorable. Running around punching things is also pretty cute, and you have a lot of different powers that you have energy for. And if you run out of Superman power, you run around as Clark Kent with basically the same powers, except you can't use like your abilities. So it has like a lot of great ideas, but it's just kind of a lot of running around and hitting stuff, and really, not that there's not a lot to do, it's just not a lot of fun things to do, but he is pretty cute. The Death and Return of Superman is another Blizzard developed game, and it is a beat 'em up, and it's not a good one. Superman, first of all, his face looks like he has to take a shit, and his head is so tiny compared to his body, which is kind of weird. It actually looks like that guy that talked to a chair, Clint Eastwood. That's the guy. It looks like he is playing Superman here. But anyway, you're fighting a lot of characters that I have no idea about, which is, you know, that has nothing to do with anything. That's fine. It could be a plastic man for all I care, as long as the beat 'em up is fun. But the beat 'em up mechanics are not fun. Superman feels super, super weak. Enemies take so long to take down, and it's not fun. Superman for the arcade is actually, I don't know, graphically I do like it. And at least you are powerful as Superman because you just punch a character and then he dies. But then that makes it too easy, so it's a weird balance for me. Also, it takes 1,000 punches to break a fence. I don't understand that logic. Yeah, and it's kind of more of an on-rails beat-em-up, which is kind of an interesting take. But it's not good either. And finally, Atari's Superman game, which is also nauseating to play because I have really no idea what's going on. There's like keys and women I can pick up or bad guys, and you can just actually fly from screen to screen and it'll flash, and then you'll just have, you know, flashbacks to terrible things that happened in your past. Try it. Just look at the screen and just blank out your mind, and then you're just gonna have like a seizure or something because all the colors are happening, Duke. The colors. Anyway, that's all I have to say on Superman for the Atari and for this DC list. As always, you can check out my actual list on TheGamer, where I go into more detail on why these games are so bad. Until next time, see you later. Did you know that was a ReActionExaminer video? If you liked it, you should subscribe to me to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Also, if you have some other interests, like sex for example, check out Tomops, which is a comedy sex podcast thing wherein my best friend and I check out the weird and abnormal and the erotic. And of course, you should support me on Patreon because, hey, I want to make the channel better and I want your help to do so. Plus, if you want to check out my writing, check out Game Jerk, where I have archives and new stuff for all projects, okay? You can find all the stuff and more in the description with the links below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.